How proud will you be to bring the Schumacher name back to Formula One, to represent your father as well, and give us a little bit of the background to the race number?
Well, yeah, no, definitely. I'm very proud to be driving my surname and having the German flag in my car and just giving something back to the German fans as well. And obviously, to my racing number, I got the 47, which is a 4 and a 7, both numbers really special to me. Also, I think some fans already did the association saying it's for Michael, so 4-7, which is also very nice, and it's kind of true. So, really happy to be here.
Mick Schumacher crosses the line to win the Formula 2 Championship of 2020. And if you watch today because of the father, Mick's driving this year has ensured that the next chapter will be written by the son.
I mean, obviously it's a dream come true, really. It's something I've been chasing for, really since I'm like 5 years old, so really childhood. And but the day is finally here is just overwhelming, really.
What's in a name? If I asked you to name someone that you associate the game of football with, I'm sure players like Pele, Maradona, Messi and Ronaldo all come to mind. Looking at basketball, most people will recognize names like Jordan, LeBron, Kobe and Shaq, even if they have never watched a single game. They are icons, athletes whose exemplary performance on and in a lot of cases off the courts, pitch or track transcended the sport itself. The name Schumacher will forever be synonymous with Formula One. 7-time World Champion Michael Schumacher had a work ethic that was simply unrivaled. He revolutionized the sport in taking fitness to a completely different level and utterly destroyed every record that preceded him. But on the 22nd of March 1999, Michael and his wife Corona had a child, specifically a son. His name, Mick Schumacher. Quite literally the shortened version of his father's name. This upcoming season, Mick will be making his debut with the Haas Formula One team, meaning that there will inevitably be questions surrounding how good he really is. Well, if his junior career is anything to go by, then he certainly will be a force to be reckoned with, at least against his teammates. Mick's rise through the feeder series wasn't as spectacular as the likes of Charles Leclerc or Lando Norris. However, he has slowly but surely improved year after year and delivered results in times when it mattered most. In fact, in the last 5 years that he and Prema have been together, Mick has established an interesting pattern in his progression through a series. At the end of his first Formula 3 season in 2017, he finished 12th in the championship with 94 points. In comparison to Prema's leading point scorer Maximilian Günther, who had 344 points, Mick was nowhere. The start to his second season in the series wasn't all that amazing either, as he could only manage 2 P3s and a win in the first half of the season. But in the second half, he suddenly became the man to beat, storming to 7 wins and 11 podiums to win the 2018 Formula 3 Championship and earn a place in Ferrari's driver academy. A similar progression was also seen in his 2 Formula 2 campaigns. In 2019, he ended the year 12th in the standings, and the start to his 2020 season was solid, but again, not as good as his second half. 2 wins at the feature races in Monza and Sochi enabled him to take control of the championship and ultimately come out on top in his battle with Callum Ilott. Last year's Formula 2 championship featured 5 different pole sitters, and of those 5, Schumacher wasn't one of them. In fact, he had the 6th highest average starting position in the series, only behind those same drivers who took pole positions. His one-lap pace wasn't great, but then again, Prema didn't necessarily have the best car in quali trim anyway. Callum Ilott was, most of the time, the man to beat on a Saturday, as he took 5 out of 12 possible poles over the season, with Tsunoda coming in a close second with 4 poles. However, despite being relatively poor in qualifying, Schumacher was able to make up those places through his spectacular starts. His race pace wasn't as good as his main competitors, but it was his consistency and tyre management that enabled him to beat them all. Here is a chart displaying the number of points finishes for every driver who finished in the top 10 in the championship. As you can see, Schumacher led the way with 20, ahead of Callum Ilott, who had 18. Yuki Tsunoda, who finished 3rd overall in the championship, had much fewer points finishes than the two that were ahead of him. What's more is that Schumacher was very efficient in maximising those points finishes by delivering podiums on a consistent basis. Here's another chart displaying the percentage of points finishes that were podiums for every driver in the top 10. Mick was beaten to the top spot by Yuki this time around, whose points to podium percentage stood at 54% compared to the German's 50%. A wise man once said, "The person who wins the championship is the one who scores the most points." And this is exactly what Schumacher did. He was able to capitalize on the opportunities that were presented before him and pounce at the right moments. On a number of occasions, he wasn't quick enough to challenge for feature race wins, but was able to score big points during the sprint races due to starting higher up the order. Now going into 2021, Mick is about to face an extreme level of scrutiny. Every practice session, qualifying performance, race finish or media comments will be broken down, analysed and in some cases twisted against him. It's not like he hasn't experienced anything like this before though. If anything, he thrives in all the comparisons and sees them as a positive. His ability to deal with his father's skiing accident and the expectation of following in Michael's footsteps is remarkable. A few months after the heartbreaking news hit the world, Mick only elevated to another level in karting to finish 2nd in both the European and World Championships. Not having his father around has been difficult, but he has coped incredibly well. He conducts himself in a very mature and professional manner, which will be his biggest asset in handling all the pressure. Next, we've got to talk about Haas. The decline of the American team has been unfortunate, but entertaining at the same time. However, going into this season, they are likely to struggle big time. Haas will not be developing this year's car at all, as they believe it's not worth spending development tokens for small upgrades in performance when they can focus their energies on 2022. The new Ferrari engine has made gains compared to last year, so at least it won't be a complete disaster. But they certainly won't be at the level they were in 2018 and will probably be worse off than they were in 2020. The timing for Mick is far from ideal. However, the situation is what it is, and he's going to have to make the most of it. Given how Formula 1 is such a cutthroat sport, he might not be given as much time to get up to speed as he has in the past. His shortcomings on one-lap pace won't stand out as much, as the car won't be competitive anyway, but he will still need to improve in that area. His strong start and consistency will work in his favour on a Sunday, where he might be able to score points if there is a chance. His debut season will be one of learning from mistakes, refining his strengths, and addressing his weaknesses. He is by no means perfect, nobody is, but his pragmatic approach and growth mindset will power his development as a driver. Like many, I'm someone who wants Mick to do really well. However, we still have to ask ourselves the question of whether he'll live up to the hype in Formula 1. And my answer to that is let's wait and see. It'll undoubtedly be extremely difficult, considering the weight of expectation on his shoulders, but I think he has everything it takes to brush all of that off. His on-track performance is where people will make their judgment. Therefore, he will need to improve on a number of things, one of which is his aggression. I sometimes get the sense that Mick is intentionally passive early on to build up his confidence slowly. Now, there's nothing wrong with this approach, but he shouldn't need a full season to get up to speed. We know that he already has the ability, so why shouldn't he make the most of it straight away, while at the same time making improvements to his craft? Speaking of improvements, he will need to step up his game on a Saturday, although it's not that crucial at the moment. Maximizing on his strengths will also be very important, and if he can put all of this together, I am positive that Mick will have a successful debut season in Formula 1. How do you think Mick will perform this year? Will he live up to the hype? Be sure to leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, be sure to like this video if you enjoyed, share it with a friend if they also watch F1, and subscribe to the channel for more great content in the future. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.